Sometimes we have more than one step. And, you know, Dora's problems are always like 2 or 3 steps. So, again, we're going to have a path. It's just going to be a little longer now. And what's important is we have to know the relationship. We have to know the conversion factor between each of these stepping stones. Otherwise, we can't do the conversion. Yeah, okay. So, there's no problem given. Where's the problem? Well, okay. Let's do this one. Recipe calls for 1.2 cups of oil. How many liters? Well, what are we given? It's always a good place to start. We're given 1.2 cups. And what does it ask for? Liters. Do you know the relationship between liters and cups? I don't. I have an app on my phone that'll do it for me, but we need to learn the process. And I don't have a book with me. I'm trying to remember. So we have, if somebody has either the printed out notes with the conversion table, which I don't want to scroll back to, or a book with the conversion factors in it, that would be really helpful at this point. Cups is a unit of volume in the English system. Liters is a unit of volume in the metric system. We need something in between where we know the relationships. It's probably going to be quarts. There should be a relationship between quarts and liters. Does anybody have it? Back cover of the book, perhaps? Okay, gallons to liters. 1 gallon is how many liters?
3.785.
3.785 liters. Okay, we can work with that. So exactly how this problem works out is going to depend on what we know. So this one's I'm going to do it the long way. So I'm going to put liters over here. So we looked this up, and sometimes we have to start at the end. Yes?
1 U.S. quart is 0.9463 liters.
0.9463.
Well, it's got stuff Googled.
So he Googled it, and he found the relationship between quarts and liters. So we could do it that way. We're going to go, well, we are in a hurry because I'm just behind. So we'll go with that one. So this tells us that we can, if we have quarts, we can get to liters. Sometimes you start at the beginning and you're like, I don't know where to go. Then go to the end and try working backward, and hopefully, like building a tunnel to break out of jail, you guys can meet up with the people on the outside that are trying to help you. So quarts in here. And then relationship between cups and quarts. Well, I know the relationship between cups and pints, and the relationship between pints and quarts. There's 2 cups. 2 cups is 1 pint, and 2 pints is 1 quart. Now, if you don't have that information floating around in your head, you're going to have to keep looking. For all of the homework problems that are assigned, you should be able to find what you need in that table that's in the chapter or in the back cover of your book. Now, on Google, you could find the relationship between cups and liters, but that kind of defeats the purpose of the question. So I know these relationships, so my path is cups to pints to quarts to liters. And so then I start. I write down what I'm given, 1.2 cups, and I look at this path and I see I've got 3 arrows. I'm going to have 3 fractions. 1, 2, 2, 3. This path that I wrote down tells me what units to put on the tops of the fractions. Cups to pints to quarts to liters. And just like Dora, you just repeat it to yourself. Cups to pints to quarts to liters. The path, the map, is the key to the whole thing. Now we're going to fill in the denominator to get rid of these units that we don't want. We're going to put cups down here to make him go away. Go away, cups. We don't want you anymore. There's pints. We want pints to go away. So we're going to divide by pints. Those will cancel out. Pint over pint is 1, poof, gone. And then we have to get rid of quarts, so we'll put quarts down here. Put all the units in first. Get the units straight. Now you go to these relationships. Did you have to write these down? No. At the beginning, if you're struggling with this, I would encourage you to write it down. You'll be more successful, but you don't have to. So here, 2 cups is 1 pint. So I have to keep those numbers with their units. 2 cups is 1 pint. And 2 pints is 1 quart. So 2 pints, 1 quart. I have the units in place. They tell me where to put the numbers. And then over here, I've got 1 quart is 0.9463 liters. You can't swap the numbers because then it won't be true anymore. Now, you just use your calculator. There's a lot of numbers here. So I strongly urge you to go left to right, top to bottom. So 1.2 times the top, divide by the bottom, times the top, divide by the bottom, times the top, divide by the bottom. That way you won't accidentally forget one. Some students go do funky things. If you can get the right answer consistently, that's fine, but I like top and bottom. So I'm just doing that on my calculator. 9. And I'm getting 0.28389 equals 0.28389. And the only unit left is liter. Write down the whole thing, then practice your sig figs. How many significant figures in our starting number? 2. How about this one? This conversion factor between pints and cups? That's exact. How about between pints and quarts? That's exact. How about this one? 4. 9,463. 4 significant figures in there. So 2 is less than 4 sig figs, so we're going to have to round this off, and this is going to be 0.28 liters. And then ask yourself, does that make sense? 1.2 cups of oil, so that's, a measuring cup, like, might measure cooking oil to put in a cake mix, so it's like, that much, is about 1/4 of a liter. Everybody knows how big 2 liters is, right? A 2-liter bottle of soda, right? So are those about the same size? This would be like 1/8 of a 2-liter bottle and a cup of water. Yeah, those are ballpark. And that's all we're doing when we're checking to see if it makes sense. If you came up with an answer that was 28 liters, is that the same as a cup of oil? No, that would be silly. And so then you have to look and see, where did I make my mistake? Any questions? Yes?
What if you got the last numbers different? Like you got 0.28389 and I got 0.28387.
Let me try that again, because sometimes it's just a matter of how many digits your calculator can show. And then sometimes we think we typed in the same numbers and we actually didn't. 0.9463. I get the same thing. It's really easy. Well, I am using the calculator on my phone, so that's entirely possible. I mean, it looks like it has plenty of space for more digits, but yeah. It doesn't end up mattering because that all got rounded off. And if I see an answer where there's just a difference of like one number in that uncertain digit, I'm not concerned by that at all. It is easy to do things wrong on the calculator, and so I recommend running it through twice. If you get the same answer, you probably did it correctly. If you get two different answers, go for best 2 out of 3. Let's do this one. This is a little more complicated. A running track measures 1,056 feet per lap. To run 15 kilometers, how many laps should you run? And then there's a little piece of information there. 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. So this is one of the purple, because aliens don't wear hats or whatever they came up with, right? You're like, oh my goodness, this is one of those. It's okay. So there's some numbers in here, right? So let's circle the numbers. 1,056 feet per lap, 15.0 kilometers, and then anything in parentheses is just usually kind of a hint, but we'll go ahead and circle that also. So then let's write this down, 1,056. Now when we say miles per hour, what does that mean? It's a rate of speed. It means you could go that many miles in 1 hour. And per, when we write this down, we often make it into a fraction. Feet per lap. What this means is 1,056 feet per each lap of the track, right? So if it says feet per lap in words, you can write it this way, feet over lap. And you might as well just extend that line all the way through because it's the same thing. And then we've got another number here. We've got 15.0 kilometers. And then we've got that relationship, 1 mile equals 5,280 feet. Notice how I'm writing all of my units. What is the question? How many laps? That's what I'm trying to find, is a number of laps. So laps over here. Now, I'm going for the purple alien hat people, okay? So some of you are like, oh, this is stupid. Fine, you do it. You don't need help. You're good. So what if you're a purple alien hat person? And you're like, where do I start? Well, let's look at these units. This one is feet per lap. This one is kilometers, just all by itself. And this one is miles equals feet. This is a relationship between 2 units. This is also a relationship between 2 units. Because we figured out what unit we need to get to. We have to figure out what unit we're going to start with. Which of these numbers do we start with? That can be a problem. We're going to start with this guy because he's the simple unit. And most of the time, the one you start with doesn't have a per in it or an equal sign or anything. It's just a single unit. So 15.0 kilometers. And now, try to turn on your common sense. I know the switch might be kind of frozen, but flip it on. To run 15 kilometers, how many laps should you run? Right? So I want to run well, they're saying I want to run 15 kilometers. I actually would never ever do that. But how many laps around this track would I need to make to do 15 kilometers? sometimes it helps to like draw a picture or something. Because these words, we're really good at pronouncing the words, but sometimes we lose some of the comprehension of the words, and we're not really comprehending what it's asking. If you need to draw a picture of a little guy running in a circle, go right ahead, just to help yourself think about what is this little boring story that they're telling me. I'm trying to run 15 kilometers, I need to know how many laps. So I'm running this length of distance, 15 kilometers, but instead of measuring it in kilometers, I need to be measuring it in laps. So I've identified where I'm starting, where I'm going. Now I have to figure out how to get there. These other numbers are probably things I'm going to need to use. This tells me how many feet are in one lap, and this tells me how many miles are in, or how many feet are in a mile. So, do either of those have kilometers or laps in them? The 1,056 feet per lap has lap in it. So if I were able to figure out how many feet it was, I could use this conversion factor to figure out how many laps. I'm working backwards now. None of these have kilometers, but what does this one have? It's got feet. I can relate feet and miles. So if I could figure out the miles, I could get the number of feet. Now what do? I get kilometers and miles. 1.609, I might have to go look something up. So 1.609 is equal to 1 something. But is it 1.609 miles or 1.609 kilometers? So 1.609 kilometers is equal to 1 mile. We didn't pull that out of the air, we went and looked it up somewhere. So there's the relationship between kilometers and miles. Now, if you couldn't look that up, are there other things that you could do? Yeah, you could do, there's all kinds of different ways, and I'm just going to not go there. I want to, but I'm not going to. Okay. So this is our path. Kilometers, miles, feet, laps. And there's Dora with her big old fat head. Kilometers, miles, feet, laps. Her neck would just break. 15, I've watched far too much kid television. It started with Barney, and it's gotten better. How many arrows are in there? 3 arrows. So I need 3 fractions. Each arrow is a fraction. Kilometers, miles, feet, laps. That's what goes on the top. Here's kilometers, miles, feet, laps. First we start with the kilometers, and then we go to miles, then we figure out how many feet, and then we get to the laps. And then we cheer and do our little dance. No, we don't. I need to get rid of this unit, it goes in the bottom. Kilometers down here, they cancel out. I want to cancel out miles, so I divide by miles. I want to cancel out feet, so I divide by feet. And I'm left with laps, and that's what I'm trying to find, so this is good. Now we look at the things that we wrote down, and we put them into our equation. Doesn't matter what order you do, you can do the last one first. So 1,056 feet, those two go together. So 1,056 feet is 1 lap. 1 mile, 5,280 feet. 1 mile, 5,280 feet. Sometimes I don't leave enough room for my numbers. And then up here, 1 mile, 1.609 kilometers. Then you get out the calculator. I really should get out my real calculator, but I'm feeling lazy. 15 divided by 1.609 times 5280 divided by 1056 equals. Oh, now it's giving me way more digits than I want to write down. 46.61280, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on. How many sig figs should this answer have? I heard little whispers of 2. It's not quite right. 3. This 0 is significant. Trailing 0 with a decimal point. Excuse me. Nope, that's not the right place. 2, no, yeah, it was. 3. 3 significant figures. So 46.6 laps. Is that answer reasonable? To run 15 kilometers, and the laps are about 1,000 feet, you're going to have to run a lot of laps, right? Good luck counting to 46 while you're running that long. Yes?
Does it matter how you do it, like the notification gives you?
It doesn't. You could multiply all the way across and then divide all the way across the bottom. I don't recommend that, though.
So what did you do? You did.
I did 15 times 1, divide by 1.609, times 5280, divide by 1, times 1, divide by 1056, equals. That will work every time. Now you may say, well, you don't need to multiply and divide by 1. No, you don't. Feel free to skip that. But some people are like, no, I need to follow the path. It's good. It's all good. If you want to multiply and divide by 1, absolutely. I do not recommend that you multiply these and write down the number, and that you multiply these and write down the number and then divide. I don't recommend that. Every time you write something down, every time you have to push things, enter things into your calculator, there's an opportunity to make a mistake. And we want to minimize the mistakes that we make. Any other questions? Was that horrible? Good.